So, welcome back to the Talanax Armory. And due to circumstances beyond my control, I have no footage of either Foam Nation, oh yeah, edition, or Mission 1 at PASF that you guys haven't already seen. So, instead, I'm going to sit here with this cup of coffee and this tablet of notes, and I'm going to kind of go over Mission 1 and Foam Nation as I remember them, which is imperfect, but, you know, it's what you get. So, let's start with Arrival and the drive up. So, obviously, we came all the way from Louisiana and drove in for PA Survival Fest 2023 at Mount Aloysius College in Crescent, Pennsylvania. What I haven't made incredibly public on this channel, but is public to those who know me, I grew up in central Pennsylvania, in State College, Pennsylvania to be specific, and am rather familiar with the area. I was not, however, familiar with Mount Aloysius College or Crescent. I knew it was over by Altoona. I know that area fairly well, and we made reservations for an Airbnb in the area that was not bad, but it was down in a valley, and when we crossed into the valley, all of our cell phones immediately quit working. So our communications in the evenings with, say, our significant others and things like that were rather limited by the location. So that wasn't great. Mount Aloysius College itself, Crescent, we didn't have those issues, so during the day we were fine. As you guys know, I posted a bunch of shorts. So when we got there on Friday afternoon, we did our blaster check-ins, made sure everything was under the 120 cap for half darts and under the 80 FPS cap for Mega XL. I will say I think their chrono was running a little hot, but you know how it is, chrono to chrono is always different. The Foam Nation convention style event was pretty good. It was intimate. There weren't a huge number of vendors, which was cool because you didn't have to worry about who has what, who has a better price on this or that. Everyone had some fairly unique stuff, and you could kind of wander around and see it all. The first thing we did was hook up with the Detroit Dart Talk guys, Alex and Tim, and then the other guys from Detroit that had come down with them, which included Tim's sons and their friend Dan and his son Jet. So we started into the event and hung out for a while. There was a 3-blaster competition, which was a 3-gun shooting style competition, but with blasters. They did it in a couple of power levels. It wasn't super well explained ahead of time, so none of us packed anything for it, so we didn't participate. And then that afternoon, Alan and Connor took off. They went to go get stuff to make gumbo for the Detroit guys and some others, and I hung around the con and played some Z13, which you guys have seen footage of. Z13 is a great time. They do it up there in Michigan. It's arena-based zombie-style mini-games, and I'll be real, both of them we played were a great time, and I would suggest it to anyone. That evening, we all convened back at the Airbnb. We had some gumbo, we hooted and hollered. The Mega XL gauntlet was fired at people from way too close range, and amusement was had by all. Which brings us to the things I really liked about how they laid out the event. The thing I liked most about PASF was their safety briefings were not only well done, concise, and informative the way they needed to be, but they did 2 virtual briefings on the Monday and Wednesday preceding the event, and then they did 2 live briefings on Friday evening and Saturday morning. So you had 4 opportunities to take in that briefing, in 2 different places, right? The comfort of your own home or at the event. And that was great. Every single event needs to have a virtual safety briefing ahead of time, because it means that they can curate the questions they're answering. They can weed out the nonsense that people ask, you know, the, hey, where do babies come from? No, just throw that out. Don't even answer it. Worry about the stuff that needs answering. Always do the virtual safety briefing. It's a great idea, and it means you have less of a rush on safety briefings day of. Having somebody running chrono all day long on Friday to get weapon checks out of the way, great idea. My blasters were chronoed by like 1 o'clock. I didn't have anything else to worry about. Perfect plan. And finally, probably the best part of the convention itself was there was reasonably priced food that tasted good on site available to you from France Foamworks. You could just buy lunch at the event, have lunch, go on your way. And on Saturday, they had breakfast and lunch if you wanted it. That was a great idea. I can't count the number of events I've been to where people don't eat all day because there's not a reasonably priced option that's convenient. Do that. Keep doing that at events. Get food trucks in. Whatever. But make food available. Just like you make water available. People are going to need it. The only downside I have for the Foam Nation event, too few people trying to do too many things. It led to timetables not being met, things not being kept on track. It really felt like they needed one guy who was kind of fluent in the con organization scene to handle the actual convention running itself. So now we're going to move into Saturday morning, Mission 1. So as we show up and load in, the first thing I really like about PASF as an event is we were in a gymnasium with a bunch of round tables spread out. And you could take those tables and use them to gear up, stage things, figure out what you were doing, make sure your whole team had the kit they were supposed to have. And it meant that there was no cramped little auditorium or something you were trying to work out of. That was a huge plus for me. I tend to roll fairly heavy into these events when I go to them because I don't like being underprepared. And knowing that I had somewhere to stage my gear, prep my gear, roll my gear out, and retreat to maintain my gear if something went wrong, that was really a boon to me. I really liked that. When they started the missions and gave us our briefing, we had, I believe, 5 options that ranged from baby's first HVZ to, oh my god, why did we choose to do this first? And we picked one about in the middle because one of our guys, Connor, it was actually his first HVZ. We had him out there in a, this actually is my first rodeo ball cap. And then we had 3 kids, you know, who were young, first-timers, not really prepared for what we were doing and had never done it before. So we picked something in the middle. I think we were 2nd or 3rd rung up. I think 2nd, now that I'm thinking about it. But our mission was to go out and find and recover Dr. Lawrence Kraft. The entire game is themed to Indiana Jones, Borderlands, Romancing the Stone, adventure fiction, right? So Dr. Lawrence Kraft is Lara Croft. One of the other NPCs that we're going to talk about in Friday's footage is Dr. Dora Clark, Dora the Explorer. There was a Dr. S. Swiper. There were way too many Dora the Explorer references for any of us to be comfortable with. So we're going to move on from that issue. Again, I have no footage of Mission 1 due to shenanigans. My camera, which I thought I had charged, I had not charged. So it died about 5 minutes into the mission. And Alan, who is my normal number 2 cameraman, just forgot to turn his camera on leaving the briefing room. He had turned it on to catch the briefing footage and then turned it off on the way out of the briefing room. And nobody thought to check. So we took off walking in what our brains all considered the southern direction, but basically down on the available map they made us for the event, right? So we walked down, we got a little lost, we ended up by a pond, we found some dossiers, that was all cool. And then we cut between some play fields, like, oh, this is the right direction because it looks like it's over here in these play fields. And as we crossed behind the play fields and went up a little hill, we got our first view of the OZ zombie team, along with one of the other moderators who was running, like, the mid-tier mission, which is Brain. And we're like, oh, it's Brain. We don't want to go that way. We know our guy's supposed to be a little below Brain in that way, so we need to go that way. And the zombies are coming towards us. So we're like, okay, let's go this way. Let's hope they just get bored and go back to what they're supposed to be doing over there. The OZs did not get bored. The OZs decided they were going to follow us down into this probably 300-yard long field with like an H mode in it, right? Either side was cut and a path across the middle, but otherwise it was just greenery. And we had been instructed not to go in that unless we really needed to, because Pennsylvania ticks are a thing, especially in midsummer. Wiped the zombies a couple of times. This is a running theme. This OZ group coming out, trying to come after us, getting wiped a couple of times. You have to keep in mind, us and the Detroit guys were loaded for Dark Mega Bear. We had Meowsers, we had FDLs, I had the Hammerwald, we had a couple of NSPs in play. We had a lot of fully automatic firepower, and we were carrying a terrifying amount of mags. Tim from Detroit was carrying, I think, 32 at his height, and I was carrying, I think, 22 in my full loadout. We had a pile of mags. So we're walking along through what we eventually discover is a disc golf course, fighting off the horde which is behind us. And we're proceeding through this forest, and as we come out the far side of the forest, we see the OZs again off to our right, but they're not spawned. And we see Dr. Lawrence Kraft, played by John from RIT. That's going to be important later. So we walk towards John, wipe the horde again, get John moving, and the escort mission for John is that we have to play disc golf, but he's got a boomdozer, and you have to set his elevation with lock, set his rotation with lock, and then tell him to fire. So someone's doing that part, keeping him moving forward to play through these holes, and we fight off the horde a couple more times, and they again get bored and move on. And we play through this course, now going the correct way through the course that we had walked through the wrong way. We're all like, great! So we walked this whole course twice for no reason. And now we're on a touch escort back through the field. So we've now walked the whole course we walked one way the other way. And as we come back to the baseball field, off to the right, where we've now seen those zombies 3 times, we see those zombies again. But between us and those zombies is all of the RIT humans who have been calling on the radio looking for John. Because they've been asking every moderator they can find where John is. Because they want to go do the mission with John. So between us and the zombies is the RIT guys. And beyond the zombies is Troll Squad, who are coming to reinforce the zombies. Because mission 5, right, the 5 difficulty mission, was face a god in life and death. You showed up and you immediately became Troll Squad. And had to go do Troll Squad things. So, instead of having the dozen or so zombies, they've got, like 20 or 30 zombies. And the RIT kids have brought them right to us. And as we're escorting John, John goes, well, we're supposed to go that way, but we could go the long way around if we don't want to fight through that. So we go the long way around. The RIT kids are screaming at us to, help them. We're trying to help, but we're fighting a fight and retreat because we got to get John back, right? That's the mission. Get Dr. Lawrence Kraft back to the briefing room. So we fight all the way towards the briefing room. Me and Alan fighting the fighting retreat with the RIT kids because we don't want one of these zombies squirting around an outside edge and catching one of our guys. So we fight all the way in as we start hearing yells for daisy chain, daisy chain, daisy chain. So they had imposed the daisy chain rule, which was if one person is touching the door handle, then that you can touch that person and you're safe. And so on and so forth out ad infinitum. So we daisy chain, clear out to a parking lot, and get everybody in. And that's how we end mission 1, with an elaborate daisy chain to bring everyone into the room. Issues with mission 1 for PASF? I don't really have any. I didn't love the RIT kids coming out and bringing the entire horde with them, but apparently we were the last human group out there, so there's a 50-50 we would have caught that anyway. And having them there made it easier, so that's cool. I wish it had been a little better marked on the maps where our mission started versus where our mission took place. We came in through where we thought it took place, but we came in through the end of it instead of through the start of it. So we, like I said, we ran the whole course backwards and then ran the whole course forwards. But new campus, lack of knowledge, etc., etc., etc. All in all, PASF Mission 1, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. And the rest of these, I will have actual game footage. You won't have to just listen to me talk for a long period of time. Unless I get an absolute pile of comments about how much you guys liked listening to me talk through all of this. And then I guess I'll record a commentary track for the missions and put that over it instead of the normal just video capture. So, let me know, and we'll see you Friday with actual game footage.